Now back to one of our top stories in the later part of the week. The Reserve Bank announced a 75 basis point increase in the repo rate. This pushes interest rates charged by the banks up to 9%. It essentially means you'll be paying much more if you want to finance a home, a car, or take out a loan with a bank. To speak to us more about this issue, we're joined by Neil Roets from Debt Rescue. Now, the South African Reserve Bank announcing that alarming increase, Neil, that's the highest since we've seen since 2002. Now, on the back of the cost of living crisis that South Africans are experiencing at the moment, what are the immediate repercussions for the consumer?
This is unfortunately going to have devastating effects on consumers out there, because the reality is that this will obviously directly affect consumers in terms of paying back their loans, but also indirectly because the cost of goods and services will also go up as a result of this. And this on top of the petrol price increases that consumers have experienced, which also filters through to the prices of other goods and services, and then also electricity prices and all those other price increases that we've seen. And unfortunately, the reality is that salaries are not going up in line with all these price increases. And that is what's going to make it so hard for consumers to swallow this.
Of course, if we take into consideration the inflation data, salaries have actually become less over the years, so people are essentially becoming poorer over the last few years. And I mean, one of your biggest concerns is how this will impact food security, with over 7 million people in the country already suffering from chronic hunger and 20 million people going to bed hungry every night. I mean, how do you see this latest interest rate hike impacting food security for the average South African table?
Oh, this is really going to become a problem, the food security. And the reality is just that this interest rate hike is going to put more pressure on farmers and financial pressure in that sense. So it would discourage farmers to invest money into farming. And at the end of the day, the less farmers there are, and the less money that's invested in farming, the less food there will be. So it's definitely become a reality for us as South Africans, the problem of food security.
Another reality that we're facing every single day, Neil, is that these high food prices that you speak about from the producer level to the end user, they impact the health of the average South African where staple foods are concerned. I mean, your thoughts on this particular notion?
Yeah, I agree with that. It does impact the health of South Africans and consumers because of the fact that people would have to cut down on their spending when it comes to food. And we all know that it's ideal to have a healthy lifestyle in terms of what you eat. And your staple food must obviously preferably include fruit and vegetables and the likes. But it's becoming too expensive. So people are going for other alternatives. And the obvious alternative is unfortunately refined carbohydrates and the like. So, and we all know that that's not ideal for people and especially children. So yes, you're 100% right. This will have, and it is having, an effect on the health of South Africans.
I want to get into issues around government intervention, Neil, but before I do, are you finding that more and more people are using debt to get by in terms of buying basic food and other necessities instead of using whatever disposable income that they may have?
Yes, unfortunately, we've seen that for years now, that people are using debt to buy their goods for living expenses, like their groceries. And the fact that retailers have made credit available for people to buy these goods, this is not helping the cause at all. In fact, it can be said that it's encouraging consumers to take out debt at their retailers to buy their groceries. And unfortunately, this can never be a good thing, because what it means, in essence, is you are financing your food and your basic goods that you need to get along during the month. And the fact that you are financing that means that you have to finance it every month, and your debt will just build up. So it's a very unhealthy situation that's forming.
It is indeed, and of course there have been talks for government intervention. I mean, given the current circumstances, is there anything the government could do to mitigate the effects of the interest rate increases, you know, and the impact that it's having on the lives of citizens?
Well, all that we can hope for is that government can somehow stabilize the economic situation in South Africa and improve that, and work on things like the electricity crisis and the load shedding that people are experiencing. So the effect of load shedding on small businesses is just so big. It affects everybody, and especially the lower income people, because these lower income people are the employees of these smaller businesses. And these people are losing their jobs. They're not getting paid their salaries. So the situation is just getting worse and worse. And then also something that the government can do is just to inform and educate people around handling their finances, because unfortunately financial literacy is a big problem in South Africa, and there's not much that government is doing to provide financial education. And financial education and literacy would also include people knowing their rights on what to do when they do find themselves in a situation where they are over indebted, like the process of debt counseling, which was implemented by a government in 2008 through the National Credit Act. So it's a brilliant piece of legislation and a wonderful tool to help people who are over indebted. But we feel that government can do more to spread the word and to educate people around this and to inform them of the benefits thereof.
Thank you very much, Neil. As always, that's Neil Roets from Debt Rescue, speaking about the immediate repercussions of that 75 basis points increase that we saw the Reserve Bank announce on Thursday, and really how consumers can try and mitigate, as well as government actually, mitigating against some of the effects of that increase. Thank you very much for your time this morning. After